By the mid-1980s, the Canadian $1 bill had served the country faithfully for more than a century. It bore portraits of prime ministers and monarchs, graced cash registers from coast to coast, and carried the daily weight of commerce. But behind the familiar green paper note lay an expensive problem. Paper money simply did not last long enough. The Bank of Canada was spending millions of dollars every year just to replace worn-out $1 notes. In an age of budget consciousness, the math was clear: switching to a coin would save the federal government hundreds of millions over time. And so, in 1987, the decision was made. Canada's paper dollar was to be retired, and a brand new coin would take its place. Designing the new coin. But a coin is not just a piece of metal. It is a symbol of a nation, a part of its identity, and a fixture in the lives of its people. Designing Canada's first permanent dollar coin required careful thought. It had to be durable, instantly recognizable, and uniquely Canadian. The Royal Canadian Mint settled on a size smaller than the old nickel dollar, making it lighter and more practical. For the alloy, they chose aureate bronze-plated nickel, giving the coin its distinctive golden color. The design. That decision would soon become one of the most unexpected and iconic twists in Canadian numismatic history. Originally, the new coin was to feature the classic voyageur design, the canoe with its paddlers. Beloved since 1935, a master die was prepared, ready to strike millions of coins. But fate intervened. During transport to the Mint's Winnipeg facility, the original voyageur dies were mysteriously lost, never to be recovered. To prevent counterfeiting, the Mint had to abandon the design altogether. A new image had to be found, and quickly. In a rush, Mint officials turned to an unused design, created by artist Robert Ralph Carmichael in 1986, a solitary loon, floating gracefully on a northern lake. The loon was a quintessentially Canadian symbol, wild, free, and instantly recognizable by its haunting call. What began as a backup plan would soon become one of the most beloved icons in the nation's history. The loon is born. On June 30th, 1987, Canada's new $1 coin was released to the public. It gleamed with golden brilliance, a striking departure from the silver and nickel issues of the past. One side bore the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. The other displayed Carmichael's loon, calm upon the water, surrounded by the simple word, Canada. Almost immediately, Canadians gave it a nickname, the Loonie. It was affectionate, playful, and entirely fitting. The name stuck, so much so that even official Bank of Canada documents soon adopted it. In a country known for its love of quirky humor and endearing symbols, the Loonie became an overnight star. Mixed reactions. Not everyone, however, welcomed the change. Many Canadians clung to their beloved paper bill, finding the coin heavy and inconvenient. Some worried about vending machines and cash registers needing costly upgrades. Others feared the golden finish would wear off, leaving the coin unattractive. In workplaces, some joked about the government's plan to make wallets heavier. But in time, practicality won out. The Loonie proved durable, functional, and more cost-effective than any bill it replaced. And so, what began as skepticism turned into acceptance, and eventually, affection. The Loonie had arrived, and Canadians soon couldn't imagine life without it. The Loonie quickly took on a life beyond commerce. Its nickname, its golden color, and its simple yet elegant design gave it a personality all its own. By the 1990s, the term Loonie was firmly embedded in Canadian vocabulary. Economists and journalists alike spoke of the rise of the Loonie, or the fall of the Loonie. When discussing exchange rates, the coin was no longer just money, it was a national character, representing the highs and lows of Canada's economy. Visual. News. Headlines: Loonie hits record low. Loonie soars against US dollar. Flashing across the screen. Even more remarkable, the Loonie became a symbol of Canadian achievement. In 2002, when Canada's men's hockey team won Olympic gold at the Salt Lake City Games, a Loonie secretly placed at center ice by the team's equipment manager became a lucky charm. That lucky Loonie was enshrined in Canadian legend, proof that even the smallest of coins could inspire national pride. Economics and longevity. From a practical standpoint, The Loonie accomplished exactly what it was designed to do. The paper dollar faded from circulation, saving the government millions in printing costs. The Loonie lasted decades longer than any banknote could have, proving itself both resilient and economical. Its durability in circulation, coupled with its resistance to wear, justified the decision beyond question. The birth of the Loonie in 1987 was more than the replacement of a banknote. It was a cultural moment, a symbol of change, and a national icon in the making. What began as a cost-saving measure evolved into a symbol of identity, humor, and pride. Canadians didn't just use the Loonie, they embraced it. By the early 1990s, the success of the Loonie was undeniable. Durable, practical, and instantly iconic. The golden dollar had transformed the way Canadians thought about currency. But another change was already on the horizon. For years, economists and government officials had debated whether Canada should replace the $2 banknote with a coin. The same arguments that had retired the $1 bill applied here as well. Paper notes wore out too quickly, costing millions in replacements each year. A $2 coin, by contrast, could last decades. In 1996, the decision was made official. The $2 note would be phased out, and Canadians would soon carry a new coin larger, bolder, and unlike anything the country had seen before. A unique design. But how do you design a coin that will stand apart from all others? The Royal Canadian Mint took on the challenge with innovation. Instead of a single metal design, the new coin would be bimetallic, an outer golden-coloured ring with a silver-coloured inner core. This was unprecedented in Canadian coinage, and it gave the coin an instantly recognizable look and feel. The design was not only practical, making the coin harder to counterfeit but also symbolic. The two metals represented strength and diversity, qualities central to the Canadian identity. The polar bear. For the coin's reverse design, the Mint sought a symbol that would resonate deeply with Canadians. Artist Brent Townsend's depiction of a solitary polar bear, standing on an ice floe in the Arctic, captured the imagination of the nation. The polar bear, often called the King of the Arctic, represented both the majesty of Canada's northern wilderness and the challenges of survival in a harsh climate. The choice was significant, just as the loon had become a national symbol with the $1 coin. The polar bear would soon become equally iconic with the $2 coin. The birth of the Loonie. When the coin entered circulation on February 19, 1996, Canadians greeted it with curiosity. Larger than the Loonie, with its two-tone appearance, it was unlike anything in their wallets. But what truly captured the public's attention was not its design, but its nickname. Almost immediately, Canadians christened it the Loonie, a playful extension of the Loonie's name, and a pun on the coin's $2 value. The name spread so quickly and naturally that it became official in everyday language within weeks. In true Canadian fashion, the humor and simplicity of the nickname made it irresistible. Just as the Loonie had become a symbol of national character, the Loonie cemented itself as part of the Canadian cultural vocabulary. As with the Loonie, the Loonie was not universally loved at first. Some complained about its size, its unusual look, or its weight when combined with loonies in a pocket. Others worried about the coin separating. Indeed, in its early years, a few toonies suffered from the inner core popping out, leading to jokes about Canada's new coin falling apart. The Mint quickly improved the bonding process, and the issue was resolved. But for every skeptic, there were those who embraced the change. The Loonie was durable, practical, and uniquely Canadian. Within a few years, even the most resistant Canadians had grown accustomed to it, and the $2 bill faded quietly from circulation. The introduction of the Loonie was not merely about saving costs, though the government did save hundreds of millions over time. The coin also had cultural ripple effects. Its name, its polar bear design, and its bimetal structure all gave it a special place in Canadian life. Just like the Loonie, the Loonie became shorthand for economic discussions, the strength of the Loonie and Loonie against the US dollar, or the rise and fall of Canada's toonies in circulation. Artists, comedians, and even advertisers played with the toonie's name, reinforcing its role as a symbol of Canadian humor and creativity. In everyday life, it became the coin most often used for bus fares, vending machines, and small purchases. embedding itself into daily routines. Over the years, the Loonie has been issued in special commemorative editions, marking everything from the anniversary of Confederation to the Olympic Games. These limited designs highlighted the coin's versatility as both currency and collectible art. Canadians came to expect, even look forward to, the occasional surprise of a new Loonie design in their change. In this way, the Loonie became not just a tool of commerce, but also a canvas for storytelling, a way to celebrate Canada's history, culture, and natural beauty. Perhaps the greatest impact of the Loonie was how it completed the pair. The Loonie and Loonie together transformed the Canadian coin system, reducing reliance on small banknotes and modernizing the country's currency. Canadians joked about the Loonie-Toonie duo, but beneath the humour lay a genuine pride. These coins were Canadian inventions, embraced with affection and recognized worldwide. Together, the Loonie and Loonie became symbols not just of money, but of Canada's ingenuity, humour, and identity. They jingled in pockets from coast to coast, companions in everyday life, and icons on the global stage. The Loonie's arrival in 1996 marked more than the replacement of a banknote. It represented a new era of Canadian coinage, one defined by creativity, practicality, and a touch of humour. From its polar bear design to its playful nickname, the Loonie captured the imagination of a nation, standing proudly alongside the Loonie as a symbol of Canadian life. But the story of Canada's coins did not stop there. The 21st century would bring new challenges, from digital payments and economic shifts to the question of how coins fit into a changing world. As the 20th century turned into the 21st, Canadians found themselves in a rapidly changing financial landscape. Debit cards, credit cards, and eventually mobile payments were on the rise, reshaping how people thought about money. Yet despite these changes, the Loonie and Loonie remained essential. Whether for small purchases, vending machines, bus fares, or simply as pocket change, these coins continued to hold their place in everyday life. With technology advancing, counterfeiters also became more sophisticated. By the early 2000s, concerns over fake coins led the Royal Canadian Mint to introduce new security features. The Loonie, in particular, underwent significant updates. A patented multiply plating technology was developed, making coins more durable, cost-efficient, and resistant to counterfeiting. In 2012, a redesigned Loonie and Loonie were introduced, featuring laser-etched security marks, tiny maple leaves within the coin's design. These subtle features made counterfeiting nearly impossible while giving collectors another unique detail to admire. The 21st century also saw the rise of commemorative coins as a way to connect Canadians with their history and culture. While commemorative designs had existed before, the Mint embraced them more fully in this era. From celebrating the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics to honouring Indigenous cultures and historic anniversaries, the Loonie and Loonie became canvases for national storytelling. These designs gave Canadians a sense of surprise and delight. A simple coffee purchase might come with change that honoured Terry Fox, celebrated Confederation, or depicted the Northern Lights. Each coin carried a story, a moment of pride, or a reminder of shared heritage. Yet, the growing dominance of digital payments raised a difficult question. Would coins remain relevant in an increasingly cashless society? By the late 2010s, many Canadians were tapping cards and phones for even the smallest purchases. Some businesses went cashless altogether. For coins, especially the Loonie and Loonie, this was a new kind of challenge, not of durability or design, but of survival. Still, coins offered something digital money could not: tangibility. They were a physical connection to national symbols, a teaching tool for children learning the value of money, and an essential backup when technology failed. In rural communities, small businesses, and cultural traditions, the Loonie and Loonie held their ground. Another defining feature of the 21st century was the growing awareness of environmental responsibility. Coins, unlike disposable paper bills, already had an advantage: they lasted decades. But the Royal Canadian Mint went further, refining its processes to recycle metals, reduce energy use, and ensure coins were produced as sustainably as possible. The long lifespan of the loonie and toonie continued to save resources compared to the short-lived banknotes they replaced. In a time of climate awareness, coins became not just practical, but also environmentally responsible money. Even as digital payments grew, the cultural role of the loonie and toonie only deepened. The coins appeared in music, comedy, and art. They were flipped in hockey rinks to decide face-offs, tossed into fountains for wishes, and collected by children in piggy banks. They remained symbols of Canadian life in a way no debit card could ever replace. For many Canadians abroad, the loonie and toonie were small but powerful reminders of home. Distinctive, quirky, and proudly Canadian, they stood as tokens of national identity wherever they travelled. By the 2000s and 2010s, the loonie and toonie had become internationally recognised. Tourists marvelled at their designs, while other countries studied Canada's success in replacing small banknotes with coins. Nations like Australia and the United Kingdom adopted similar strategies, citing Canada's model as proof that larger denomination coins could thrive. In this way, Canada's quirky bird and sturdy polar bear became unlikely ambassadors on the world stage, symbols not only of Canadian currency but of Canadian innovation. One of the proudest moments for Canadian coins came during the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. Special editions of the loonie and toonie were minted, celebrating the games and the athletes. But even more famously, the loonie took center ice, literally, following the tradition of the 2002 Salt Lake City Games. When a lucky loonie was buried beneath the hockey rink, a coin was once again placed beneath the ice in Vancouver. When Team Canada won gold in both men's and women's hockey, the loonie's legend as a good luck charm was cemented forever. It was more than currency, it was superstition, folklore, and national pride rolled into one. As Canada advanced into the 2020s, debates continued about the role of coins in society. Would they eventually disappear, replaced entirely by digital payments? Or would they endure as cultural icons, even if their daily use diminished? The Royal Canadian Mint showed no signs of retreat. Instead, it continued innovating, producing coins with holographic effects, glow-in-the-dark designs, and cutting-edge materials. At first glance, coins may seem like nothing more than tools for trade. But in Canada, the loonie and toonie have become much more than currency. They are symbols of a nation's values, identity, and shared stories. From the loon to the polar bear, from hockey superstition to commemorative designs, each coin carries a meaning that extends far beyond its face value. The loon, featured on the Canadian dollar coin since 1987, was never meant to become such a powerful symbol. Yet it quickly did. The loon is a bird known for its haunting call, a sound that echoes across Canadian lakes in the stillness of summer. Its image on the coin reminds Canadians of their connection to nature, wilderness, and the beauty of their vast country. The loonie's symbolism deepened after the legendary Lucky Loonie was placed beneath the ice at the Salt Lake City Olympics in 2002. Ever since, the coin has carried an aura of national pride and superstition. To Canadians, the loonie is not just currency, it is luck, resilience, and a reminder that even small things can carry big meaning. Introduced in 1996, the toonie brought with it the polar bear, another powerful national symbol. The polar bear represents strength, endurance, and survival in harsh northern environments. It connects the coin to Canada's Arctic heritage, Indigenous cultures, and the pressing issue of environmental change in the 21st century. In this way, the toonie is more than just a coin, it is a reminder of Canada's responsibility to protect its fragile northern ecosystems, and a tribute to the people and wildlife that thrive there. Through their designs, Canada's coins have become storytellers of the nation's history. The loonie and toonie have celebrated Confederation, Indigenous heritage, Canadian inventions, and historic figures. They have marked milestones such as the centennial of women's suffrage and the remembrance of Canada's veterans. Each coin carries with it a story, a chapter of Canada's collective memory. Unlike paper bills, which circulate for only a few years, coins endure for decades. They become artifacts, carrying their stories forward into future generations. A toonie minted in 1996 might still be in someone's pocket today, a tiny time capsule linking past to present. For many Canadians, coins hold emotional value. A loonie tucked into a wallet for good luck. A toonie saved from the first paycheck of a new job. A commemorative coin passed down from parent to child. These small objects, though modest in value, can become deeply personal treasures. The weight of a coin in hand offers something that digital money never can, a physical reminder of memory, meaning, and connection. Over time, the loonie and toonie have also found their way into Canadian popular culture. Comedians joke about them. Musicians reference them in lyrics. Artists incorporate them into works as symbols of everyday life. Even in casual language, Canadians say things like a couple of toonies instead of $4. The coins have become woven into the fabric of everyday speech and imagination. Through humor, art, and creativity, coins become more than money, they become shorthand for what it means to live in Canada. Internationally, the loonie and toonie are seen as uniquely Canadian. Tourists bring them home as souvenirs, marveling at their designs. Economists cite Canada's bold move to adopt coinage for hire denominations as a case study in monetary innovation. For people abroad, the loonie and toonie stand as quirky, endearing symbols of Canada, practical, durable, and distinct. Amid all the change of the digital age, coins symbolize continuity. They are one of the few physical objects of daily life that connect generations. A child in 2025 might use the very same toonie that a parent once used in 1996. In this sense, coins are threads in the fabric of national memory, binding past, present, and future. Ultimately, the loonie and toonie reflect Canadian identity. They embody humility, practical, durable coins instead of flashy currency. They symbolize a balance between tradition and innovation, classic wildlife designs with cutting-edge minting technology, and they tell stories of unity, diversity, and resilience, the very values that Canadians see in themselves. The loonie and toonie are more than coins. They are storytellers, symbols, and cultural icons. They carry luck, pride, and memory in ways no digital transaction ever could. Beyond their monetary value, they remind Canadians of who they are, what they cherish, and the stories they share. In the next and final chapter, we will explore the future of Canada's coins, asking, in a world moving rapidly toward cashless payments, what lies ahead for these enduring symbols of identity? Across the globe, the use of cash is declining. Credit cards, debit cards, and now digital wallets dominate transactions. In Canada, too, more and more people reach for their smartphones instead of their pockets when paying for coffee or groceries. This shift raises an important question: what is the future of Canada's coins in a cashless world? Despite predictions of their demise, coins still matter. For millions of Canadians, coins remain essential for small transactions, public transit, vending machines, and parking meters. They are practical, durable, and, unlike digital payments, they do not require technology or connectivity. More importantly, coins serve as symbols. Even if their everyday use diminishes, their cultural meaning, luck, pride, memory will endure. One of the clearest futures for the loonie and toonie lies in commemorative design. The Royal Canadian Mint has already embraced this path, issuing special editions that celebrate anniversaries, Indigenous culture, environmental awareness, and national achievements. As regular circulation declines, coins may evolve into collector's items, cherished more for their meaning than their purchasing power. Beyond collecting, coins serve as teaching tools. In classrooms, children learn about history, culture, and geography through coin designs. They spark curiosity and pride in the nation's identity. In this sense, coins may continue to play an educational role long after digital payments dominate commerce. The Royal Canadian Mint is also looking toward innovation. New coinage technologies by metallic designs, color printing, anti-counterfeit features are blending tradition with modernity. In the future, we may see coins that incorporate advanced materials, holograms, or even digital verification codes. These innovations could ensure that coins remain relevant, both as secure money and as cultural artifacts. Meanwhile, conversations are growing about digital currencies, sometimes called central bank digital currencies or CBDCs. The bank, of Canada has studied the possibility of creating a digital Canadian dollar. While this would not replace coins immediately, it raises profound questions. Will the future of the Loonie exist not in metal, but in code? If that day comes, coins may survive not as money in circulation, but as heritage, symbols preserved for their cultural and historical value. Even in a digital future, coins will hold their place in everyday life. They will remain in piggy banks, lucky pockets, tip jars, and hockey ice rinks. For many, the act of holding a coin, feeling its weight and texture, will always mean more than tapping a screen. If circulation dwindles, collecting may become the primary way coins live on. Already, Canadian coins are celebrated internationally by numismatists for their artistry and symbolism. In a century's time, the Loonie and toonie may be less common in pockets, but more prized in collections, museums, and family keepsakes. Ultimately, the future of the Loonie and toonie is tied not just to economics, but to identity. These coins are part of what it means to be Canadian. They represent nature, resilience, unity, and pride. Even if one day they no longer circulate widely, they will continue to circulate in the national imagination. Money may change form: paper, plastic, or digital, but symbols endure. The Loonie and toonie are more than coins. They are stories. They are memories. They are Canada. And no matter what the future holds, their legacy is secure. Thanks for watching this video. Go to subscriber at Channel Coin History Worldwide.